Ladies and gentlemen, I am your Imperator, your first citizen, TsarOctavian. One aspect of this channel I haven't gotten to display yet is how much of a nerd I am when it comes to the history of subjects I'm passionate about. And as a test run, today's subject is a brief history of abridging. Well, as brief as I can make it. What's going to separate my video from many others that have been made is perspective. While other videos discussing the history of abridging come from a perspective of a fan's point of view, I find their assessments to be bare bones and rather lacking in many ways, retelling the history of abridging as just the history of Lil Karibo and Team 4-Star. That's where I come in. I started abridging all the way back in the year of our Lord 2009. Lady Gaga's Poker Face was number 1 on the Billboard chart. Fred was just anointed the most subscribed YouTube channel on the site. And unfortunately, 2009 also means that the needle drop and I are pierced. Since then, I've come and gone from the genre, but I've never really retired. So allow me to give y'all a unique perspective on the genre as someone who was creating at the genre's peak. This is the history of abridging. So how did the genre begin? Well, only 2 men truly know the answer to that question. And I don't think we've heard from one of them since at least 2010. Before 2004, there was Kung Pao Into the Fist, a Hollywood film which inserted Steve Odenkirk into an obscure 1970s kung fu movie, which also redubbed other characters in the film. Ghost stories you could make an argument for. The source material was so bland and dry, as well as not drawing any money even in Japan, so the voice directors allowed their actors to go crazy with the ad-libbing. I don't care what the weeaboos say, there was no saving that anime even if you had a 1-to-1 faithful dub. Regardless, after that you had the G.I. Joe parody infomercials, a series dedicated to making fun of and redubbing the 80s cartoon infomercials that would play at the end of the episode, or whatever part of the episode. It's been like a decade since I watched the real show. Which brings us to the big year of 2004. Kiddos, this was before YouTube. The biggest websites on the internet were Newgrounds, MySpace, DeviantArt, LimeWire, and Napster. 2 men would set out to parody an anime each, both calling their series Abridged. The first was a user you may be familiar with. I mean, after all, I did mention his name earlier. Lil Karibo, or Martin, would begin his series known as Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, with its rather impressive editing for the time, which does surprisingly hold up fairly well for a 21-year-old video as of recording. Syncing the lip flaps alone is really impressive, since most people those days really only had Windows Movie Maker. Sometimes I miss that beautiful software. Easy to use, challenging to master, but always crashing at the worst possible time. In the 21 years since, Martin has still kept going with the show, still airing annual new episodes, damn near reaching the 90 episode mark. Martin has just about outlasted everyone else in the genre he helped found, with new fans still discovering the show and anyone beforehand who was or is an abridger being massively influenced by Lil Karibo's work. To this day, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series stands as the measuring stick and the golden standard for the rest of the genre. Before I discuss the other abridger, I wanted to keep going down Martin's branch of the family, if you will. Following Lil Karibo's success, keep in mind when I tell you that a video was massively successful back then, I don't mean billions of views. And sadly, a lot of the pioneers in early online video content weren't really making a whole lot of money either. Regardless, from Martin's success, you would see several other abridgers follow his formula. Shady Vox's Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Abridge, Yusei Adams 5D's Abridge, Team Fart Taco's Air Abridge, which is the perfect show for them to abridge, Ant Fish's JoJo Bizarre Adventure Abridge, Kaiser Neko's Naruto Abridge, and Lenny Pator's Yu Yu Hakusho abridged. The later two of the YouTubers, alongside Takahata and Masako X, would form Team 4 Star and would start Dragon Ball Z Abridged, the biggest abridged series to ever grace the internet. There's still hundreds of Instagram and TikTok accounts reposting clips from Dragon Ball Z Abridged to this day. Another factor that certainly helped them out was that Dragon Ball as a media entity was deep in hibernation at the time. Besides the occasional movie, not that fucking one, Dragon Ball Z Abridged really was the only thing that maintained Dragon Ball's immense popularity during that time period. From 2009 until 2018, a solid 9-year stretch. Returning just over a year ago for shorts, Team 4 Star really elevated the genre to new heights that had not been seen before. Broke through to an audience who had never probably even seen the word abridged to begin with, and would inevitably leave a massive shadow over the entire genre. From Lil Karibo and Team 4 Star, other abridgers down that branch of the family tree would be as follow: Something Witty Entertainment's Sword Art Online Abridged, Grimjack's Goblin Slayer Abridged, Joyride Entertainment's My Hero Academia Abridged, and Project Mouthwash's Bleach Abridged. A special mention has to go to Takahata's Hellsing Abridged, as well as Final Fantasy VII Abridged, both of which are amazing fucking shows. I don't think I could ever watch Hellsing without constantly quoting Takahata's show. That all being said, what happens when you don't have the means to own an Adobe editing software or whatever editing software which required a subscription fee? What about the other abridger I mentioned earlier? The other side of the family tree, which always gets overshadowed by their far more successful cousins. In the same year that Lil Karibo launched Yu-Gi-Oh! The Abridged series, becoming the godfather of that style of abridging, another user would start his own abridged show, simply known as Captain Awesome's Pokemon Abridged. With a far more relaxed style to his show, more rapid-fire jokes, and a non-one-to-one matching of the lip flaps, Captain Awesome's series was far more indicative of the internet zeitgeist as a whole. To put it simply, Lil Karibo was Disney and Captain Awesome was DreamWorks. However, Captain Awesome would not have the longevity that Lil Karibo has. But not only did he create the subgenre of relaxed abridging, it's who he influenced that would go on to really carry that torch. Adam West Lapdog. The very first YouTube channel I ever subscribed to. So going forward, just know I will be very biased towards George the Dinosaur. Starting in 2006 with Resident Evil Abridged, but soon transitioning to his far more successful and iconic series, The Legend of Zelda Abridged. It should be The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time Abridged, but fuck it, not my show. Just like with Lil Karibo, you have Lappy Dog providing all the voices. And also, just like with Lil Karibo, Zelda Abridged still surprisingly holds up to this day. It might not have all the bells and whistles, the lip flaps to production, but there's still a good amount of laughs and entertainment you'll still get out of Zelda Abridged. That being said, if you're someone that needs their abridged show to have the bells and whistles, this is not the genre for you. I probably should have mentioned that when I started talking about Captain Awesome, but from here on out, if you need your ice cream chocolate dipped, covered in sprinkles with gummy bears, peanuts, whipped cream, caramel sauce, I like mine with vanilla. So we can all have our own taste. Oh, also, I'm still waiting for George to finally release that long-awaited Jet Set Willy Abridged. That being said, aside from yours truly, further down the branch of relaxed abridging, you have Nevet 1212 and the Big T 2000's Wind Waker Abridged, Cage 500's Metal Gear Solid Abridged, Team Smashing Gear's Transformers Prime Abridged, Tamaki and Zazumaki's Twilight Princess Abridged, Purple Eyes What the Fuck Code Mint Abridged, TMNT's TMNT Abridged. I'm assuming because, all their videos are gone. Let's also talk about another unaddressed subject, the community as well. As one other person I neglected to mention above, Team 4-Star was not the first to abridge Dragon Ball Z. That distinction would go to Alternate Reality Dragon Ball Z, created by SSJ Gozar. So why did I leave him off the other branches? Well, it has to do with the fact that it is an alternate reality, a retelling of events in Dragon Ball Z. The early show would frequently display events out of order, and would follow his own story and scripts, though eventually the show would morph into a relaxed abridged. Of course, alternate reality would end well before DBZA. But in early FAQs, it's funny to hear that Gozar gave TFS his blessing to do the show. And they promised a cameo from him on their show, which unfortunately never materialized. And I'm still kind of pissed about it. Now then, the community. The Abridged Alliance, the Abridged Community, and a channel now known as IMFIC were absolutely fantastic at bringing all abridgers in from across the genres. A beautiful system of supporting each other and highlighting each other's works, and for a time, it didn't really feel like someone was too big for you to message. When I was just starting out, I got to message Tamaki and got great advice from her. Nowadays, you really don't want a lot of YouTubers reaching out to their audience. YouTube also used to have groups, a different section of the website where users can join in and send their own videos. And you betcha, I was in the Abridged group. Neva1212, Adam West Lapdog, Tamaki, Imfic, the Abridged community. I want to say Martin was in there. Well, that might have been more superficial than anything. Like, Dad's here, but he's in the other room, like, sleeping. So, the elephant in the room. Why did abridging die in the first place? The short answer is YouTube. YouTube has an ever-changing and evolving algorithm, as well as a very draconian copyright system. Unless you're an actual celebrity, this website does not give a fuck about you. Nor are they obligated to. Copyright strikes are also heavily abusable. For instance, one of the brain-dead Japanese legal teams representing Shonen Jump, Toei, and Shueisha managed to flag enough of Team 4-Star's videos at one point that YouTube struck down the entire channel. While eventually their channel and their YouTube videos were put back up, Dragon Ball Z Abridged was permanently cancelled. If that happened to a much, much larger YouTube channel, you can imagine the massacre that happened with much smaller channels that could not fight themselves nor were in a network. The present and the future of abridging. There are still some smaller channels out there now, pumping out videos under the Abridged banner. Though this may be controversial considering they may not have even heard of abridging, but in recent years, relaxed abridging has made what you can argue a comeback. In the rebrand of fandubs, and I am speaking in particular of Snapcube's fandoms. Each fandub is so eerily similar to what a lot of us were doing way back when, with much more of an emphasis on jokes and fun or over flash and flare. Though I have no doubt in my mind that Penny bust her fucking ass making these fandubs. In my eyes, fandubs are a natural evolution of relaxed abridging. With the advent and popularization of shorts, as well as it being basically a safe haven from copyright abuse, I truly believe that relaxed abridging, and maybe even proper abridging, with all the lip flaps and the fancy editing and this and that, may actually make a return. After all, I see Little Karibo and Team 4-Star clips all the time. Relaxed abridging could rebrand and start calling themselves something like redubs. Uploading a whole episode and taking bits of it and uploading those onto YouTube Shorts, TikToks, Instagram Reels, and X. I could see abridging coming back. Maybe not in full episodes, but in shorts, TikToks, Reels. It just depends on whether those channels find the work needed and the money to possibly earn off of it worth it. My final thoughts, no matter which you prefer, I have a ton of fond memories being in the genre. Whether you prefer relaxed or proper abridging, something in between. Whether you're someone like me that loves abridging in any shape and form it comes in and wants to see the genre thrive again, I hope I did justice speaking on a niche genre I love so much and that I have been in for a very long time. I would say this is my 16th year in the genre, and I hope I got to teach an audience that may not be familiar with about a side of the family tree that is so often neglected and ignored in favor of its far more popular cousins. With that being said, I am TsarOctavian. I'm going to go back to watching Godzilla and pro wrestling and playing some fucking Pokemon. God bless y'all. Have a beautiful Sunday. I also just wanted to mention real quick, after scripting this episode, I found Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver abridged, and it's really cool seeing somebody else adopt that, like, Final Fantasy abridged. Final Fantasy 7 abridged, let me be very particular about that. Thank God I'm leaving this in as an extra at the end of the episode so I can fucking stutter as much as I need to. But it's really cool seeing somebody else do that kind of like Final Fantasy 7 abridged style. And you know what? I'll be honest. I saw Pokemon abridged. I was like, Captain Awesome, you've returned. No, it's somebody else. But you know what? God bless that team that's making them. And hopefully any newer, younger bridgers out there, God bless y'all. I hope y'all are succeeding, finding success in your own way, and I hope we can bring this genre